Hello everyone and welcome back. We are now on Chapter 5, the Project Management Lecture Presentation. So far we've gone through 4 chapters: Introduction, Strategy, Organization, and Defining the Project. We are now at the estimating stage, where you will be able to look at time and cost for your project or for your project planning. Estimating is the process of forecasting or approximating the time and cost of completing project deliverables. It's the task of balancing expectation of stakeholders and the need for control while the project is being implemented. Shown here are the types of estimates: top-down, which are also known as macro estimates; analogy, group, consensus, or mathematical relationships, which are examples of that; bottom-up, or micro estimates; estimates of elements of the work breakdown structure. And this is the most common method that I personally have used in my project management experience. Estimating time and cost are important for these reasons: to schedule the work, to determine how long the project should take and its overall cost, to develop the cash flow needs for the project, determine how well it's progressing, and also develop time phase budgets to establish the project baseline. The quality of estimates are determined by the factors shown here in this diagram. It is determined by the project structure and the organization itself, culture, the planning horizon, how far out into the future is planning done, the duration of the project, and whether estimate padding is used, meaning are people adding more time in order to make sure that their estimates, they don't exceed their estimates. To develop work package estimates, these are the things that need to be done. First of all, using people familiar with the task. You want to involve the people who are actually doing the work and who have done the work in the past, because they'll have the best ideas of how long a task can actually take, and that'll give you an idea of how much it will cost. Other ideas are to assume tasks are independent. Don't try to estimate a group of tasks together. Treat them separately. Include a risk assessment to determine what happens if something goes wrong with your schedule. How would that affect your cost? Another idea is to also use several people to make estimates instead of relying on a single individual. Some guidelines that can be used for estimating are similar to what you saw in the diagram. This slide discusses top-down versus bottom-up estimates. First of all, top-down estimates are usually derived from someone who uses experience and information to determine the project duration and total cost, and generally are made by top managers who have little knowledge of the processes. So this occurs when someone at the top says this project must be done in so many dollars and so much time. On the other hand, the bottom-up approach shown here can serve as a check on cost elements in the WBS by rolling up the work packages and associated cost accounts to major deliverables at the work package level. So this is opposite in terms of you get the people involved who know the work, they give you an estimate, and you can sum up everything and roll it up together to a top level estimate. So this shows the preferred approach. You can make a rough top-down estimate, develop your WBS, make your bottom-up estimates, develop schedules and budgets, and then reconcile differences. Some ideas for using bottom-up estimating: using templates. So projects that have been done in the past that are very similar to the project you're working on, you'll have an idea of what that project took, how much time it took. You can use that information in your existing or your current project. Another idea is parametric or statistical procedures can be applied to different tasks, and range estimates and phase estimating, which is considered a hybrid approach. So this slide compares top-down estimates and bottom-up estimates. The intended use for top-down Shown here, feasibility, conceptual phase, rough time, cost estimates, understanding the funding requirements, and resource capacity planning, whereas bottom up is used for budgeting, schedule the more detailed activities. This shows the preparation cost, the accuracy, and note that the differences here. The method or approaches that you can use are consensus, ratio, and others versus template, parametric, and WBS, package estimating. So I mentioned before the level of detail. So the level of detail is different for different levels of management. Detail in WBS varies with the complexity of the project. Having too much detail can be considered costly, whereas insufficient detail is also costly because you need to understand the goals and what effort that could be attributed to non-essential activities. This slide discusses the types of costs that are on a project. So we have direct costs that are chargeable to a specific work package, overhead costs that are tied to the project deliverable, but not necessarily to a specific task or work package, so known as salary, rents, etc. General and administrative overhead costs, these are costs that are indirectly linked to a specific package as well. So this is an example of a contract bid. Some of you in your RFP are expected to submit a cost proposal. So this would be similar to what you might see in that. Okay, this slide shows the 3 views of costs and shows the cost in a project and the project's duration, and it's dividing the cost into committed, actual, and scheduled or budgeted costs. So you're looking at the actual, which is the dark circle, the scheduled cost, which would be the squares, and the committed cost above. This slide considers refining estimates. The reasons for doing so are sometimes normal conditions do not apply to a project, things go wrong. You can adjust estimate as time goes on for your specific activities as risks, resources, and situation particulars become more clearly defined over time. For your team project, you will be expected to have a method of estimating. Please discuss this with your team and determine which method you will use. This concludes the Chapter 5 presentation.